Hello, good afternoon. I am delighted. Today is World Book Day, and we are so excited. So we have already all we have those who are going to be read the authors in the house, and before we go and for them to read the books, they're going to be giving you. I have Jude Lennon, and she's going to be telling you a bit of herself and what she does, and the book she has written. If you're in England, you can pick up any of those books. And any other parts of the world, we know we can always order from Amazon. So, Jude, happy World Book Day. I see you dressed as Little Red Riding Hood.
I am, yes. Happy World Book Day to you as well. I'm so excited to be part of the celebration with you.
I know, I'm so excited too. The good thing about this is, those who have waited before, they can always join us.
Yeah,
Also, there's going to be a replay, so they can also watch it live later. So
lovely.
I will start. Can you just tell us a little about yourself and your books?
Yes, of course. Yes, I'm Jude Lennon, and I was a teacher for many years. I taught 3, 4, 5-year-olds, and I was a teacher who loved writing. And then 7 years ago, I left teaching, and now I'm an author who loves storytelling. So I set up my storytelling business, Little Lamb Tales, which is why I've got all the lambs here behind me. And I also write books, and I really, really enjoy it. I live in Liverpool, in England, in the UK. And yes, it's just so exciting to be here with you. And normally I spend my time in schools doing a lot of workshops and running creative writing sessions and drama sessions with children of all ages, really. So in the primary setting mostly. So so I'm really excited to be here with you today. It's really fun. It's really great fun.
Thank you, Jude. Thank you for giving us this time to spare your time to be with us. We are delighted. Happy World Book Day once more. I am so delighted, and I'm so everybody who is going to be watching. I'm so delighted to see you. So should we just start? Let's hop in.
So this is the book. I've written lots of books. Some of them feature my lambs, but the one I'm going to read to you today is called Glad to be Dan. And I wrote this with my friend Joe Howarth, who is a mindfulness coach. And we wrote it because we felt that children sometimes find it hard to express how they're feeling, and this gives them some techniques to help them. So I hope you enjoy it. All the illustrations are done by Trev Howarth, who is Joe's husband. So here we go. Glad to be Dan. I write a lot of my stories in rhyme, and this is one that I've done that too. Here we go. Dan was walking home from school. He kept his eyes on the ground. He was feeling fed up and kind of sad. He didn't see what was around. His mum said, "How was Monday, Dan?" Dan, you look so sad and so blue. Dan just shrugged his shoulders. Mum knew just what to do. I've gone the wrong way with the camera. At home, Mum found a special jar. She gave it to Dan and said, "Put your happiness inside it and keep it by your bed. Think of something that made you feel glad and put it inside the jar." Dan got his pen and paper and wrote, "I'm glad because my mum is a star." And that's a really lovely technique to do at the end of every day, the things that you're glad for. On Tuesday, when Dan was walking home, Mum asked him how he felt. Dan still shrugged his shoulders and fiddled with his belt. Sometimes when we don't want to ask and answer questions, we fiddle with things, don't we? And that's what Dan's doing. He's not feeling very happy. At home, Mum turned to Dan and asked, "Who were you kind to in school? Now put it inside your happiness jar. Being kind is cool." Dan thought back to his day in school. He'd been kind to his friend Chad. He cheered him up and made him smile. What a lovely lad. He's got a nice smile there himself, hasn't he?
I see.
On Wednesday, Dan wasn't feeling great. He was worried and felt uptight. That means anxious. Mum sat down and held his hands. "I'll help you feel all right. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Count slowly from 1 to 10. Let it out and just relax. Then do it all again. Should we do that? We're going to breathe in through our nose. You ready? Count and out. And it makes you feel so much calmer. Dan lay down and closed his eyes. He breathed in and counted to 10. He felt his cares just disappear. He felt like himself again. And that's a really good thing to do if ever you're feeling sort of anxious or worried or upset about something.
Mm-hmm.
After school on Thursday, Mum could see that Dan was still blue. What have you got to be thankful for? What's going well for you? Dan scribbled down some things for his jar. He said thanks for his dad and his mum. He was thankful for his friends at school and for his pet dog, Plum. Plum's cute, isn't he? He's written them all in his notes. He's going to pop them in his happiness jar. Oh dear, he doesn't look very happy here. On Friday, Dan was angry. He was annoyed and very cross. Although he had looked high and low, his PE kit was lost. Mum could see Dan was really upset. Don't worry, listen to me. Squeeze each one of your muscles, then let them go. 1, 2, 3. So we can try that as well. You ready? So let's squeeze both of your hands. Squeeze both your hands and relax. Can you squeeze your legs? Oh, that feels funny, doesn't it, when we squeeze on the legs? How about your toes? Can you squeeze your toes? Can you squeeze your knees? Oh, that feels... Squeeze your nose. Can you squeeze your nose? Here we go. Let's see how Dan gets on. Dan tried squeezing both of his hands and then his legs and toes. He squeezed his knees and arms. He even squeezed his nose. I don't know how he did it. After relaxing all of his muscles, he felt calm and clear in his mind. He remembered where his kit was. It was really easy to find. And there it is on the shelf all along. Dan and Mum set off for school. Dan smiled and looked at the sky. He looked at the beauty around him. It made him feel happy inside. Dan looked at Mum and gave her a hug. Thanks for helping me see. I've so many things to be thankful for. I'm so very glad to be me. And that's the end of the story, children. So hopefully you'll have heard throughout that story the techniques that we thought of that would help us feel better. So we think of some things that make us feel glad and put them in our happiness jar. We lie down and we count and we breathe and we let our breath go. It keeps us nice and calm. We squeeze our muscles and let them go, and that lets all the tension and the worry go away with them. And that's just some really interesting techniques that you can try. And you know something, children? Not just good for children, good for adults as well.
Yeah, no, dude, that's very true.
Very true. So I hope you enjoyed that book. I certainly enjoyed reading it, and I certainly enjoyed writing it when I wrote it with my friend Jo. It was really, really nice to do. So
Thank you so much. Thank you so
much. You're very welcome. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it.
Delighted to have you. Very quickly, we're going to be playing a video. It's a Handa Surprise by Ellen Brown. I know you know that book, don't you?
Yes, I love this.
Handa put 7 delicious fruits in a basket for her friend Akeo. She will be surprised, thought Handa, as she set off for Akeo's village. I wonder which fruit she'll like best. Will she like this soft yellow banana? Or the sweet-smelling guava? she like the round, juicy orange? Or the ripe red mango? Will she like the spiky-leaved pineapple? The creamy green avocado? Or the tangy purple passion fruit? Which fruit will Akeo like best? Hello, Akeo, said Handa. I've brought you a surprise. Tangerines, said Akeo. My favorite fruit. Tangerines, said Handa. That is a surprise.
A surprise, there for Akeo.
Absolutely. Oh, it's such a lovely story.
Yeah. And Jude, you do storytelling, like as an out of the book storytelling. Is it traditional? Is it
Yeah,
based on traditional stories, or just like you do your personal stories?
it's a mixture really. I do oral storytelling, so sort of traditional, and sometimes I tell traditional tales like Little Red Riding Hood. Sometimes
Yes.
I retell stories from around the world, so Nancy stories, or stories from China or from Poland or wherever really. And sometimes I retell books, so I would take a story that's well known and then I will retell it in my own words. So it's a real mixture, but storytelling is such a wonderful just a wonderful thing to do with children and adults really of all ages. It's just it involves the imagination. You can use actions and all kinds of things. It's just music. It's wonderful.
Oh, so can we have a tip, a tiny? I know I'm putting you on the spot here of one of your
Okay,
stories.
no, that's okay. I can do a story with you. How long have we got?
Say you've got 3 minutes or 5.
Okay. All right then. Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll tell a very, very quick story then. Okay, here we go. So long ago, there was a spider, and that spider had been very, very busy. She lived at the top of a very, very tall tree, and she'd made a nest for her and all her spider babies. One day she thought, I will go out and get some food for my spider babies. So she put on her shoes. She's got 8 shoes. You ready? 8 legs. Let's count them on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She put on her hat. Have you got your hat? And off she went down the tree as fast as she could. Whee! And then she scurried along the road. Let's go. She scurried this way and that way and this way and that way. And she found lots and lots of tasty, yummy treats. My spider babies will love these, she thought. And so she gathered them up and she went back to the tree. Now, I didn't tell you this, but down that tree, there was a drain, very special drain pipe for catching the rain. And so she started to climb up it. Now, let me tell you, coming down the drain, easy. Going up the drain, Not so easy. Are you ready to help me climb? You ready? She started to climb up and up and up and up and up. But oh no, she started to feel splish, splash, splish, splash. The rain was coming. Oh no, she thought, I must climb quicker. Let's go. She went up and up and up and up, but the rain got heavier. Down came the rain. Splash, 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 splash. And eventually a poor spider couldn't hold on and she whoosh, she tumbled and she tumbled all the way down to the bottom of the drain. And she sat there and she was not happy. I'm not happy with this rain, she said. I wish it would go away. And so she waited. Can you wait? And she waited. And eventually the sun came out and it dried up all of the rain. And so she started to climb again. Let's go up and up and up and up and up and up to the very top. And there her spider babies were. And they were very pleased to see her, and especially the treats she'd brought them. The end. Oh, give yourselves a clap. And that's based on a nursery rhyme that we sing in the UK quite a lot called Incy Wincy Spider. So I don't know if you sing that in. You do?
Yes,
Incy Wincy Spider. So that story is just a story version of the rhyme. So I hope you enjoyed that.
Wow, interesting. Interesting. We've been joined by Salamatu Sule, who is also a storyteller here in Nigeria. Salamatu Sule has written several books, but she's going to be talking about herself, and we'll let her also, just the way you did, talk about herself and the book she has written. Salamatu, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Vivian. It's good to meet you, Jude Lennon. I'm so happy to meet you today. My name is Salamatu Sule. I'm a children's author. I'm a literary agent. I'm a book reviewer. And I have written children's book and a collection of poetry. My children's book is titled Oma the Drummer Queen. And my poetry is titled The Orchestra of Her Last Rites. So that's what I do. Thank you. And it's good to be here.
Yeah, happy World Book Day.
Happy World
You're doing
Book Day.
You're doing a great job. Yes, so which of the books do you want to read for us today, and or what story do you want to tell?
First of all, I would like to do a poem that is very dear to my heart, and I know everybody can resonate with it. It's titled My Mother is one of my very good poems. It's titled My Childhood. So I'll just do it like a spoken word, even though I'm not really a spoken word artist. So my childhood, I wish I could see me again as a little child in the morning of my life, free from all cares, all strife, oblivious of the struggles, sorrows, and pain. Oh, could I but see myself at my mother's back, protected in love without a single lack. I will dance until such memories last. I will sing of God's amazing grace, of his ever blessed and wonderful ways. Always knowing, as mother will say, that I am the breath of her eternal praise. So that's a poem about my childhood.
Interesting. Yes, sometimes we want to get into those childhood shoes again.
Oh, yeah. and you know, it's really amazing that it's just two things you're going to not really know about your life: the day you're born and how everything is being celebrated, and the day you die and how everyone cries. So it's always good that you take these very two key important days so much dear to your heart. And
absolutely.
So you have to give thanks to God all the time, and also to your mother, because Mothers have done so much for us. If not for mothers, we wouldn't be here today. So always mother, and mother. So I'm so happy to be talking about my mother who says, I am the breath of her eternal praise. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And do you have any of your books with you that you want to share? Maybe a page, chapter?
Yes. So I will be reading from Oma the Drama Queen.
I know that one. Well done.
So it goes. Once upon a time in the kingdom of Ebedi is saying, there lived a man whose name was Aremu. He was a poor hunter who did not do well at his hunting. His wife's name was Ashake. She was very unhappy that her husband did not bring back home big bushmeat like other hunters did. You could do better than this, she would say, pointing at the smallish animal her husband has brought home. One day, Aremu set out for hunting as usual. He walked sluggishly with his bows and arrows. He also had with him a handful of stone, catapult, and a keg of water, which he hung sluggishly at his back. Olodumare, please do not fail me today. I have always said my prayers to you. Help me like you have helped my forebears. Aremu prayed without seeing the strange figure that had appeared before him. Young man, what brings you to the bush today of all days? The strange man asked. The old man's face was all beards. Aremu became really scared. He had forgotten that the day was a day forbidden for all men in Ebedi saying to go to farm. It was also a day forbidden for the eyes of man and spirits to meet. He wanted to please his wife Ashake. Old wise one, Aremu shivered. I beg of you, do not harm me. Do not harm me. I am only a poor hunter looking for food for myself and my family. Oh, wise one, I shall return home immediately. Aremu stammered. No, you shall do no such thing, said the strange old man. You shall pay for your forgetfulness. It thundered. Please, I promise I shall not return to this farm ever again. I pray you spare my life. Aremu pleaded again. The farm was very peaceful, and the birds were out of sight, and no voices of men were anywhere close. You shall clear the bush and make 7 ridges before you can be set free. So can I stop here or do I go on?
Oh, that is interesting. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Tell us what happened at the end of the story because I want to know if in this
Oh
century.
yeah. Okay. So the old man disappeared before Aremu could say another word.
Oh
Aremu
dear.
became even scared. He could not believe he had been talking to a spirit all the while. Aremu looked to his left and saw a magnificent object glittering. It shone so much that he had to take off his eyes of it. And then to his right, he saw a cutlass and a hoe. So he picked them up and began clearing the bush. He walked through the hot, glittering sun to the receding of the yellow sun. Aremu had at this time got to the 7th ridge when something struck like thunder. Ooh, a very dirty drum landed in front of the frightened hunter, who almost took to his heel, but a voice stopped him. "Take that drum," it commanded. "Beat it to the ears of everyone that attends the wedding ceremony of Kabiesi's son. Tomorrow, that is your reward for being obedient." So, Ashake, the wife of the hunter, was very worried. Her husband had never stayed that long. He used to return home before dusk. She was so worried that she cried out for help. "Look what I have dragged my husband into with my nagging," she says. Shina and his wife came to see Ashake when they heard her cry for help. "No, Aremu, your husband is alive," the voice came. "Woman," Ashake ran to embrace her husband. She touched his hands. She called out his name and was sure the man that stood before her was Aremu, her husband. Even Shina and his wife were very happy for Ashake that night. Aremu narrated to his wife all that happened in the farm. He also showed her the drum, but the woman laughed at her husband. "What would you be doing with a drum that is this dirty? You do not know how to drum. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to learn a new enterprise at your age?" That night, Aremu the hunter slept and dreamt of himself drumming at the village square, the marketplace, and even at the king's palace. Yeah. The following day, he set out with his old-looking drum. Everyone saw the hunter turned drummer, laughed and laughed and laughed at him. "You, a hunter, now turned a drummer," Shina laughed. "Aremu, be serious for once. Be serious," said another man who was all tears, but Aremu did not listen to either of the two. He just continued on his journey to the king's palace. The palace was filled with high chiefs of Ebedi Iseyin kingdom. They had all come for the marriage ceremony of the king's son. Praise singers sang their praises and called on their titles, so Aremu decided to put his drum to test. He had not even tried it since it came into his hands. He beat the drum and could not believe what he heard. Women and children ran from all angles towards the drummer to dance. The high chiefs, even including the king, danced to the rhythm of Aremu's drum.
Wow.
Yeah. The drummer was asked to entertain the couple, and the chiefs sprayed lots of money. They had not seen a good drummer like Aremu in the whole of the kingdom. From that day on, Aremu's misery ended, and he became known as Olori Oniru, which means the king drummer of Ebedi Iseyin. That's the end of part 1.
Congratulations to him. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So remember, the title of my story is Oma the Drummer Queen.
Very
So
true.
you wonder how the drummer king now
King, the
becomes
drama queen.
the drummer queen. Shall I tell you how?
Yeah, you just tell us, not read it, you just tell us the story.
Yeah, so I'll just share the story with you. So one day the drummer king became ill and his wife was pregnant. So he wished that the baby becomes a boy, because from where I come from, it is not heard that a girl or a woman beats the drum. Unfortunately, the baby becomes a girl. And Aremu and his wife fears that a girl will not be able to drum. So Omar grew up learning the art of drumming, putting the drum to test. And one day she entered into a competition. She was the smallest. She was so small that everyone wonders what she was doing, because the king was so sick and only the drumming can heal the king. So everybody came with their drums. All the king drummers came with their drums. The most biggest drum ever seen by Omar, that she was really scared. But everybody failed the competition. And then it was Omar's turn. And then she looked and then she sighed. And then she put her drum to test. And guess what? Everyone started to dance. The birds started to sing along, and Oma became the best drummer queen in the whole of Ebedi Ising, and she drummed beyond Africa. Thank you very much.
Well done. Well done. Well done. Thank you so dearly. Now we have our final guest for today, Mrs. Shade Fadepe. She's in the studio. She has always been in the studio, and she'll be joining us right away. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
I know you have written several books. I have one of your books because I was in a session with you not quite long, and we did this book together. I just wanted to tell us about yourself and the book you'll be doing for us today, reading for us today.
Okay. Hello. Hello, Jude.
Hello, Mom. Good to finally meet you.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Lovely to meet you too. So yes, my name is Shade Fadipe, and I'm a children's book author. Lovely to be here. It's not every time that I come to read in my parents' birth country, so it's nice to be here. I became an author in Nigeria, so home is always home. And today I'm going to be reading. Just like you, Jude, I quitted teaching. I said I'm teaching mainstream teaching. But I live in London and now in Essex. So yeah, so a bit of a similarity. There. I love the poetry that comes across in your stories, and it flows naturally. Sometimes we kind of like put words together, and you can see that they're forced. But yours, really loved it. I loved your storytelling. That was beautiful. That's so traditional. So, I think we've got a good blend here. So I'm in between, I mix my heritage, my British heritage and my Nigerian heritage within my stories. So I'm the man in the middle.
That's what we have here.
I'm going to be reading from Snowy Joy. It's a chapter book. It's a 72-page plus story. And so it will take me 30 minutes to finish it. So I'm not going to read the whole thing through. I don't want to bore you. But I'll read the blurb and then we'll get a feel of the story. Okay. Rolling, throwing, and playing in the snow had always been on Anna's wish list of fun things to do before she turned 10. It just never snows where she lives. So when She was whisked away for her very first snow holiday ever. She is truly thrilled. But after an unusual encounter with Kindama, the land of broken toys, Adana's mind is bombarded with a billion questions about the world she lives in, the world she loves, and wishes she stayed back home. Will she have the holiday of her dreams, or has it been marred by Kindama forever? Find out what happens to Adana in this adventure of self-discovery, richly blended with cultural spices, working in harmony, helping us understand our world just a tiny bit more.
Lovely. Sounds wonderful.
I'll read the first chapter. I'll read the first two chapters, and then I'll go on to a chapter that talks a little bit about our names, and I'll talk about our names, and how we choose our names and what it means when we are bicultural. Reindeer in the skies. Adana woke up excited and full of energy. She had waited patiently for the 23rd of December, and now that it had arrived, she was beside herself. She had much to do before sunset. After folding her clothes, she laid them out neatly into her suitcase, lumping her shoes and toys on top. She tidied her bedroom, then dragged her suitcase down the stairs into the living room. Adana's mother did one final inspection and was surprised at how well her daughter had packed her own luggage. By sunset, Adana was all smiles as the gate man loaded her suitcase into Grandma's taxi. They said their goodbyes and set out on their journey. But you're wondering where they were going to. At the airport, Adana's grandmother showed their passports to a woman in an olive pinafore matched to the cap on her head. Would you like a window seat? The woman asked. Yes, please, replied Adana, while her grandmother nodded her head. There you go, seats 5A and B. Enjoy your flight, the friendly woman said as she gave them their boarding passes. And enjoy the snow, she winked as Adana and her grandmother walked away from the counter. Dragging her wheeled rucksack along, Adana's mind oozed with joy. Snow? Was it true? Was it really going to snow? She had snowflakes fall in movies, but that was about it. So this holiday would be a dream come true, she hoped. They strolled towards the department, then went into the duty-free shop to buy that nutty chocolate bar Grandma had promised. They soon found cozy seats in a quiet corner and chatted away, eager for the aeroplane. A good hour later, they were whisked off on a transit bus, which stopped at the foot of a massive metal stairway. Adana trudged up the steep steps while an air hostess helped Grandma with her handbag. Grandma was not one to ask for help. She had always been as fit as a fiddle, though this time she smiled, pleased by the air hostess' kindness towards her. Seats 5A and B were quite easy to reach, being at the front of the plane. This time the air hostess handed them woolen blankets and sturdy headphones. He made sure he had fastened their seatbelts and moved on to do the same for other passengers. When Mr. Brown, the pilot, was satisfied, his crew had made when Mr. Brown was satisfied his crew had made the passengers on board comfortable, his smooth, booming voice swept through the plane speakers. He asked if they were ready for the most enjoyable flight ever with him. Then he cracked a silly joke about reindeer traffic in the skies and said he would soon take off. Do you know where the reindeer are off to? He asked the giggling children. They had enjoyed his and hit back at him with silly answers. The lively atmosphere put everyone, especially the kids, in a jolly mood. Soon, it was time to hit the skies. Leave me alone. Like skaters on thin ice, the aeroplane glided smoothly off the runway. It rocketed towards dark, stormy clouds. The higher the aeroplane soared, the stormier the weather became. The heavy downpour drummed harshly against the aeroplane's frames, and its wings shivered with an unusual frenzy as if it had caught a cold. Adana was terrified by the storm's battering attacks against the aeroplane. Still, it surged on with fury. Suddenly, Adana shuddered. For some strange reason, the storm reminded her of school. It made her think about kids in her class that picked on her way too often. Reporting them to teachers hadn't stopped them, it only made things worse. They called her a grass. They sometimes picked on her outside of school. If only I could be brave and strong minded, she muttered. Being the youngest, the tiniest, and having the weirdest of accents in class is no fun at all. Dana's many travels around the globe had watered down the bouncy Nigerian accent she once had, while her small build had to do with her genes, nothing she could change. If only they'd leave me alone, she sighed. Adana hoped she would one day be brave enough to shake off her worries and care less about the teases, just as the aeroplane cared less about the storm around it. Needing to be comforted, she turned to her grandmother, her rock. Grandma's eyes were closed, but Adana knew she wasn't sleeping. To keep busy, she tiptoed out of it onto the aisles and wandered off to the far end of the aeroplane. It's warm and cozy in here, she sighed. She looked around and saw people talking hurriedly to each other, while others fixed their eyes on mini screens, browsed through the aeroplane's duty-free magazines, or read newspapers. Then, of course, there were the little ones who had started their many trips to the toilets just to get off their seats. But Anna also saw people with eyes shut tight like her grandmother's. Once upon a time, it was nearly snack time when Grandma finally opened her eyes. The elderly woman with a fixed smile leaned towards her granddaughter. I love a quiet moment during takeoff. You just never know, she said, patting Adana's palms with the tenderness of a loved one. Minutes later, Grandma chewed on her peanuts as she took great pride in telling Adana about her very first journey from Lagos to live a new life in London. For the umpteenth time, she recalled, we traveled on a huge ship called the RMS. We were on board for 2 whole weeks, sailing northbound on the Atlantic Ocean. She stressed on the two as if it were the only word that mattered. She carried on. In those days, traveling by aeroplane, Adana had heard this bit many times before, so she gladly joined in. Was as expensive as traveling to space. We chuckled like best friends would. Adana studied her grandmother with admiration as she shared memories of her younger years. Some were about ballroom dance lessons with Grandad every Friday evening, and some were by early trips to Portobello Market every Saturday morning. Adana was a huge fan of her grandparents, and she absolutely treasured the memories they shared with her. Grandma's eyes brightened with a sudden sparkle as she remembered her husband's love for the Beatles. You know, Magic Grandad still remembers all the lyrics to his favorite tracks. It was a happy statement, not a question. Minus her love for newspapers, Adana loved her grandmother to bits. So, my child, what music are you into these days? Full of bubbly energy, she told her grandmother about her favorite band and how she would love to watch their live performance just herself and her friends when she turned 16. Shortly after, Grandma's eyes twitched a dozen times or more as she drifted off to sleep. Do you want more?
Thank you, thank you,
Lovely.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
I'm
for that.
so delighted to have all of you. Thanks for
Thank you.
sharing. I was almost
Very
there.
good.
That's a
Very
lovely one.
beautiful
Snow
book.
Boy is a
Very
strong
beautiful
one.
story. I mean, I can
Thank
resonate
you.
with the whole aircraft and that thing we do, like we just want to stand up and go to the toilet, not just stand up. Amazing.
Oh
Amazing.
dear.
Great. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lovely to meet you, Salamatu. So basically, it happens on the 23rd of December. The next chapter talks about why she was going on this journey, and she'd been her uncle who lived at St Albans had invited her over for her 10th birthday, but this was the first time she was going to traveling in winter during the winter season. And so at some point she gets to a phase where she kind of thinks, I wish I could stay back home, with our Christmas, the way we celebrate Christmas and all the things that happen. And then she said, okay, but I'm going to spend Christmas, in a different country, different climate, so why not? But something happens along the line, and so really, it's a story about resettlement and immigration, and in between the kingdom is called the land of the broken toys, because when Adana sees, she sees her perspective of what a land torn by war may look like, and this upsets her along the way. And she wished she'd stayed back in Nigeria and wished she'd stayed at home rather than having to see the land of Kindama. But when by chance, she then meets the children from the land of Kindama, and they're able to retell their story. So I'd like to read that part, if you don't mind, just when there are more characters, and I'd read that bit if I've got time. Do I have time?
Yeah, I
Yes.
will be rounding now. We have about 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes. Oh no, we don't have enough time. Sorry.
Oh, you can't read that part. But tell us, I'm keen to know what happened in that part. What happened?
So they recount their story. Let me see if I can do it in 2 minutes. Let me see. They recount their story of how they got of what happened. Let me see if I can read it really quickly. The land of Kindama. Let me do the next page. We thought, okay. Bang, bang. It was late at night. I thought someone was breaking our door down. Mrs. Brooklyn translated Halima's Kindamash to English, while Kalisha made a tight fist, pretending to knock on an imaginary door. We thought they'd come to burn our house down too. The day before that, the house next door's was set on fire. But nobody got hurt that day, and our friends escaped. But they have nowhere to live. That must be frightening. I would have been scared to death, said Nelson. Mrs. Brooklyn carried on translating for the children. Quick, quick, be quick, the carriage is ready, Mama told us. Their mother had packed their bags while their father had put their treasures into special boxes, just like Jaden's. He said they were good luck, and then he told them about the carriage waiting for them in the park. And so what happens there is it's a magical story. It's a Christmas story, Christmas fantasy. The reindeers, transport them to a better place, and then they meet up with Adana. And Adana's family had decided to adopt a baby who happened to have twin sisters that had been evacuated as well. And so it's a lovely element to it, but there's also the reality of what's happening in our world today, and
Absolutely.
captured in here. So I'd love to read it another day, but I think the stories we've listened to today are so beautiful, and I think whoever's watching has they've gotten a really good deal from you today, Mrs. David.
Yes, I
a good
know.
a
I
good
know.
free
I
deal.
know.
Yeah.
I'll just like each of us. The theme for this year's Word Book Day is share a story. And that is because I want children, everybody to share a story with loved ones. I know you are still on lockdown in the United Kingdom, and I know it's not an easy time for anybody, and for you, it's not easy. We're out and about, but then we have a lot of restrictions too, and that's these things. It's not easy, but sharing a book and taking us away from all of this happening into the world of imagination. And like I see Adana in that flight with her grandma talking, eating her peanuts, it just takes you away from all that is happening around us. I would like each of us to leave a word to parents so that this time I know how parents could can. They should at least share a book with their children. And at least let's leave a word. Let's start with you, Jude. You joined us first. So a word for the parents based on the theme.
Say again, sorry. No, I can't hear my
Little Red Riding Hood. A word to the
Yeah.
parents based on the theme. Share a book.
Share a story. Why I think that theme's important.
Yes, story, yeah.
It's so important because when we share stories, we don't just share the stories that are in the books. We share our stories as we read them. So we might look at bits of the story and say, "Oh, do you remember we did that? We went into the woods when we were looking for Little Red Riding Hood, or we sent a card to Grandma when she wasn't well, or we went on the plane together." And it's a shared experience. And I think that's why sharing books and sharing stories is so important. It's get that language going, and it's cross-generational. It can be little ones with grannies, great grannies, aunties, uncles, and everyone. It involves everybody.
Thank you so much, Jude. Salamatu, you know how it is right here in our part of the world. Sometimes parents don't even get to share um, stories with their children, and this is very important. Can you leave a message to the parent about how important it is for children, even to siblings, to share stories, and for parents, grandmas, when they're around, to share story, and how important that is?
Oh, thank you very much. You see, one of the reasons why I wrote Oma the Drama Queen is because I thought like we need to come really, really close to our heritage. We need to share stories with this kid because whether we like it or not, story is therapeutic in its own sense, in its own way. And it also helps us to travel to as many places through our wide imagination. It helps us to heal, and then sharing the stories helps us to, I mean, very much recon with our roots and meet other peoples from other places as well. So you can imagine Adama, why she has to travel, she has to learn about the snow. These are very these are the things that only through stories we can learn before we even go to the places, because most of the places I've been opportune to travel to, I've been able to travel through them right inside a book. And it's really no different when I come to see it in actual life. So I think it's worth it when we share stories with our kids. It keeps them in that. Now is the pandemic. This is the right time that they don't need to be too scared, because stories can actually save us from dying. If I use that word, dying, yes.
Very true. Take you to the world where you have never been.
Yes.
Finally, what's the word to us, Mrs. Fadipe? You have been in these two parts of the world, like you say, you are the one in between,
In
and you know
between.
how important this is. So, can you kindly share with us,
I
based
think
on the
we
theme of this day?
Yeah, I think I think we do share stories. We just don't capture them, and we don't think about the language behind the stories. So if we are intentional about the stories that we share, then we're capturing history. I mean, for instance, I mean, when I write, I think that I write historical fiction, where I'm capturing fictional aspects of my childhood. So yeah, let's keep sharing the stories. Let's be intentional about the language. We can also address just cultural issues with our stories. So I'll give you an instance
Yes.
about when there was a particular story that I came across where a child was being told off, but the father was pointing at the mother, and I challenged that because that is cultural, isn't it? That's a cultural thing. Oh, bad child is for the mother, and so when the father is telling the child off, he's wagging his finger at the mother, and that was in a picture
Good
book,
to
and
her.
that was what made me start writing because I thought, okay, the earlier I can weed these kind of books out, the better. So we can reform ourselves with stories. And I'm so happy that there are a lot of fantastic books being written by Nigerian authors. Once 10 years ago, you'd have just the textbooks, but now we've got lots of beautiful storybooks. And next, so come July, there's the Akada Book Festival that's taking place. And I'm so excited about that. There's some beautiful things going on with the children's book world in Nigeria, and it's formative. So we can use this as a channel to reform ourselves and reform ourselves. Yes, they're reformative.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. We've gradually come to the end of today's celebration. Happy World Book Day, everyone.
Happy World
Thank
Book
Happy
you
Day!
World birthday.
Happy World Book
so
Day!
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you.
Can I just
I
say thank you so much to Vivian for organising this. It's just been so wonderful to be part of it. And this is
thank
what
you.
sharing stories is all about. It's about sharing stories wherever we are and sharing them out to whoever's listening and whoever's.
Certainly, Jude.
Yeah, yeah.
Certainly.
Thank you, Jude.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Jude. I think we'll have you sometime again to share those your stories, and I like the way you say with music and with sound and all of that. Maybe one of these days we'll have you again. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Salamat.
you. Thank you,
Thank
Salamatu. Lovely meeting
You.
you.
Thank
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 you.
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 Thank
you.
you,
Yes.
So
everyone that is
nice meeting
watching.
Thank you for
you.
Thank
having
you.
me.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Miss Vivian, for putting this
Thank you.
together. I mean, we need
I
Welcome.
more of this. We
Yes,
do.
yes, 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 yes. So
Um,
gradually we've come to today's end. We started with when we started today, a happy word book day once again. When we started with Handa surprise an African tale, and it's so interesting. As we leave, as a sign of, I'm gonna leave you with one of the books I also love so much. When I worked in the UK, I used that a lot, as soon as I saw it, I said, "No, let's have this." So I'm going to leave you with that as we end. Is a story by guess whom? Yeah, the man
How do you like
himself.
it?
Story.
The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. For my sister Krista, in the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf. One Sunday morning, the warm sun came up, and pop, out of the egg came a tiny and very hungry caterpillar. He started to look for some food. On Monday, he ate through one apple, but he was still hungry. On Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears, but he was still hungry. On Wednesday, he ate through 3 plums, but he was still hungry. On Thursday, he ate through 4 strawberries, but he was still hungry. On Friday, he ate through 5 oranges, but he was still hungry. On Saturday, he ate through 1 piece of chocolate cake, 1 ice cream cone, 1 pickle, 1 slice of Swiss cheese, 1 slice of salami, 1 lollipop, 1 piece of cherry pie, 1 sausage, 1 cupcake, and 1 slice of watermelon. That night he had a stomach ache. The next day was Sunday again. The caterpillar ate through one nice green leaf, and after that he felt much better. Now he wasn't hungry anymore, and he wasn't a little caterpillar anymore. He was a big fat caterpillar. He built a small house called a cocoon around himself. He stayed inside for more than 2 weeks. Then he nibbled a hole in the cocoon, pushed his way out, and he was a beautiful butterfly.
Yeah, I love that story. And I saw you, and I know you like it too.
I
I
do.
I saw you all, and I saw you nodding, Jude. Yes,
Yeah.
I like that story, and I like a lot of books Erica
I
has written.
sometimes retell that story in my storytelling sessions. So
Oh, do
I get
you?
them about the food to the children and get them to come up. So yeah, it's good fun.
I
Oh,
had
wow.
to make when I did my PGD, I had to make story props for my
Ah,
presentation. So I had all the very hungry caterpillar props.
wow.
Yeah.
I have my very own caterpillar.
Excellent.
When I
So
talk the
isn't it
name,
amazing? So it tells you keep being hungry for books, keep being hungry for books. That's the
yeah.
message I'm
True,
taking.
true, very
Yeah.
true, very true.
That's
All
brilliant.
right. Thank you, everyone. Let's say
Thank
bye.
you.
See
Thank
you
Thank you.
you. Bye
Bye
next
bye. Bye
bye.
bye. Bye
Wednesday.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Lovely meeting you. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.